Welcome to the Miracles Happen Fertility Podcast, where it's all about using the power of your mind to create hope, health, and miracles on your fertility journey. And now your host, a dash of science and a heap of spirit, Dr. Maria Rothenberger.
Well, hello there. Welcome to the Miracles Happen Fertility Podcast. I am currently camping in the Redwoods. So hello from the Redwoods in California, Northern California. But I wanted to get this episode out to you, and I am sitting in my truck right now, trying to stay moderately quiet in the background so that I can get this info out to you. And my voice is back. I lost it completely last week. And I usually record these in advance, especially for Miracles Happen members, so they get them a week in advance. But that wasn't possible this week. So apologies for the delay for my members. It's a rare thing, and I know you understand. Okay, so what is happening for this podcast episode? We are rounding up the series on the chakra system. And today we are talking about the 7th chakra. Definitely take a look back at all of the previous 6 episodes on the chakra system. It is really useful information, basic information about the chakra system, but it's about what the chakras govern, how you can tell that you're out of balance, and how to get back into balance. So we are talking about the 7th chakra today. This is the chakra that is located at the top, the crown of the head. Now, in previous episodes, I've also been, I take my information for these podcast episodes from 2 specific resources. One is a book by Dr. Carolyn Myss called Anatomy of the Spirit. Very in-depth look at the chakra system. And then the other source is Chopra.com, which is Deepak Chopra. Very big name in the spiritual wellness community. So unfortunately, though, I don't have Deepak Chopra's information today because I am in the middle of the Redwoods. So I'm hoping that I can even upload this episode in time. If not, I'm going to find a way. But I don't have the Chopra Center information today. I will just be looking at Anatomy of the Spirit by Carolyn Myss. So what is the 7th chakra? Carolyn Myss calls it our spiritual connector. The 7th chakra is located at the crown of the head. So basically at the top of your crown, right? And the organs that the chakra system governs is the muscular system, the skeletal system, and the skin. Any mental or emotional issues or things that this chakra center governs is the ability to trust life, values, ethics and courage, humanitarianism, selflessness, the ability to see the larger pattern, faith and inspiration, and spirituality and devotion. All of these things are, by the way, certainly in all of the chakra system, we're talking about issues that are very relevant in the fertility world. But I love this one specifically because there is a theme of trust. You know, there's the word faith, there's devotion, there's the ability to trust life. And I find that in the fertility world, we often lose sight of our trust. We often grab hold of anything that we can muster up strength to grab hold of to force shit to happen in our fertility world, in our story. And when the 7th chakra is blocked or sluggish or out of balance, it's very common that symptoms are manifested in that way. We have a hard time trusting the universe, trusting that things are exactly as they need to be. I love this one too, ability to see the larger pattern. Because obviously when we're caught up in our moment, like just my story in particular, I'll just go with that, but definitely look at your own story. fill in the blanks. If this didn't happen, then that would have never happened. And the that thing is a positive thing. So if my husband and I had conceived on our own, I never would have noticed my own strength. I never would have been able to help you guys as much as I do. All of the people that I get to send messages to without even knowing you, using this platform, all of that would be gone. It wouldn't exist. And then the obvious thing, if we had a baby another way, we wouldn't know our current children. If you choose to live child-free, you wouldn't know the freedom of that. You wouldn't know the adventures that you could have on that. So there are pluses and minuses to all stories, right? Like I was just talking with somebody about this today, a coaching client, or not today, the other day. She's thinking about what should I do with my story. I don't know if I should continue trying to conceive or live child free, and there are pluses and minuses to both, right? So no matter what, basically, here's what I'm saying: you can't choose wrong. You can't choose wrong. You have to trust or practice trusting. You don't have to do anything, but it's really useful and helpful to you if you trust that whatever comes your way on your journey is exactly meant to happen like that. Even the pain. Okay. The physical manifestations of a seventh chakra imbalance, as per Carolyn Mace: energetic disorders, mystical depression. This is interesting. Mystical depression. What does that even mean? Mystical depression is that thing where you're like, WTF, God, why is this happening to me? Why? Or questioning whether a higher source exists. That kind of depression. Just like the anger, the sadness, the bargaining. That's all like very common with grief. That happens too in spirituality. You may have even questioned that yourself. What else? Chronic exhaustion that is not linked to a physical disorder. Extreme sensitivities to light, sound, and other environmental factors. I wanted to address that really quick because if you're a highly sensitive person, which you can find out on hsperson.com, this is a well-researched personality construct that is often seen as being dramatic or too sensitive or things like that. I was told that when I was growing up. But this is a very common, 20% of the world population is a highly sensitive person. It's a pretty large percentage of people. I want to differentiate between this extreme sensitivities that Dr. Mace is talking about in her book and the sensitivities that you might experience as a highly sensitive person. Extreme sensitivities is more like when you have a migraine headache and you can't open your eyes to even the dimmest light, or sounds around you just ping around in your head and cause more pain. That's the extreme sensitivity that we're talking about when there's a dysfunction with the seventh chakra. Okay, so how do you know? We just now talked about how you know that there's an issue with your seventh chakra. There's also some normal things that happen when there's a seventh chakra issue. One of the things that Dr. Mace talks about is she lists primary fears and primary strengths of each chakra. So I'll talk about the primary fears first. Fears relating to spiritual issues such as, quote, the dark night of the soul. Now, I want to talk about that. So the dark night of the soul is part of, I know that I've mentioned before, Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey. The dark night of the soul is when we are absolutely at rock bottom, ripped to our core, and having to live from that space, or wanting to die in that space. Frankly, that's where my fertility journey led me. I would stop at stoplights and think and contemplate suicide. That was my dark night of the soul. It was an extremely difficult place to be. The cool thing is there's always something on the other side of that. Even if you don't know it, see it, even have an inkling of it, even have hope for it. You can be completely hopeless, but there's something on the other side of that. And that seventh chakra can come back into balance if you keep going, if you keep doing the things. The primary strengths of the seventh chakra: faith in the presence of the divine and in all that faith represents within one's life, such as inner guidance, insight into healing, and a quality of trust that eclipses ordinary human fears, and devotion. Now, I want to address this too, because you do not have to believe in God or source or anything in order to have a balanced seventh chakra. This is why. You can believe in nature. You can be a tree hugger, which I think is a beautiful thing. You can just believe in a greater part of yourself that knows. So you don't have to, carry around, a New Testament with you or a Bible or any kind of scripture of any kind, the I Ching. All of those are beautiful things, but you don't have to in order to have a seventh chakra that is balanced. You just have a connection with something that is greater than this human body of yours. That is a strength of the seventh chakra. And then you begin to trust. You begin to move through the difficulties in life and trust that all of the shit that is happening to you, all of the crises that are happening to you are meant to happen to you. And there is something on the other side of that. Okay. So I like the questions that Carolyn Mace poses, questions for self-examination. So we just wanted to talk about those, and then we can talk about the other things that you can do to help balance out the chakra. So these are great for journaling one evening. What questions have you sought guidance with during meditation or moments of prayer? What answers to these questions would you most fear? Do you bargain with God? Do you complain to God more than you express gratitude? Do you tend to pray for specific things rather than pray in appreciation? Are you devoted to a particular spiritual path? If not, do you feel a need to find one? Have you found surrogates to be devoted to? If so, list and evaluate your relationship to them. Do you believe that your God is more authentic than the divine in other spiritual traditions? Are you waiting for God to send you an explanation for your painful experiences? If so, list those experiences. How would your life change if God suddenly decided to answer your questions? And how would it change if the answer you received was, I have no intention of giving you insight into your questions at this point in your life? What would you be prepared to do then? Wow. So powerful. That last one, by the way, it comes up often in Spirit Baby sessions where people ask questions, not even just like, how are you going to come and when are you going to come? Because those are the most common. But people will ask very deep, thought-provoking questions. And I'll ask Baby or other entities that might come through during the session, like guides or angels or ancestors. And sometimes it's just blank, completely blank. Sometimes the entity on the other side will make a gesture to me that signals, nope, I'm sorry, I can't do that right now. I can't let you know. So that's often the answer. You can't know that right now. And it's for your own good. Like a parent would say, don't you hate that? It's so frustrating. And yet, it's necessary. Okay, so with that said, what are some other things that you can do to balance out your seventh chakra? So I suspect, I'm going to try to get on Chopra.com here. Ooh, I might have enough. Oh, cool. I think I do. I'm looking at it right as I'm talking here, and I'm not even going to edit this out because this is how I roll. Okay. So the first thing I want to talk about is the way to balance out through crystals. Okay. So I think I talk about this at the end on other podcasts, but I want to talk about that first because I know that more than I know yoga poses and things like that, because I'm not a yoga instructor or anything. So the color, by the way, of the crown chakra, most people will say is white. Now, will say is violet. Now, when I see a seventh chakra, I often see it as, Dr. Chopra says violet or white. I often see it as like pearlescent. It's like a pearlescent color with streaks of violet and other colors, blues and greens and turquoises and things like that. So I would say mostly white, like a pearlescent color, but there are streaks of those fiery colors in there. If you've seen an opal, you know what I mean. They're like little bursts of colors. So any crystal that would help balance out the seventh chakra matches those colors. So any white crystals or clear crystals like clear quartz will help. And then there's amethyst. Amethyst to me, I liken amethyst to the essential oils world, where lavender is like an all-purpose thing. Lavender is also purple, right? And amethyst is also purple. Amethyst as a crystal is sort of like a jack of all trades kind of thing, but it is really useful for the seventh chakra as well. And then there's selenite. Selenite is a very, it's a perfect cleansing crystal. I have a selenite wand that I take and I can put through the aura system, which includes chakras, and that helps cleanse the aura. There's a crystal listed on Chopra.com called sugalite. I do not know what that is, so I'd have to look that one up, but it is also apparently useful for balancing out the seventh chakra. Now, how to use that? Go back to that podcast episode where we talk about how to use crystals, but you can sit in meditation, sit up, place the crystal on the crown of your head and let it work its magic there, or you can lay down and just place the chakra above your head on the ground. Okay, so what are the things that Dr. Chopra says about balancing out the seventh chakra? He says, while silence is the most powerful and important way to open the seventh chakra, there are some other practices. Silence. Silence is, I'm just going to talk about that for a minute. Silence is one of the most powerful things that you can do in general for your mental health, and certainly for your whole body, mind, soul, but especially for the seventh chakra. Because when you are silent, you can hear better any little whisperings, any intuition that pops up that needs to be heard. Okay, he also talks about breathing techniques that you can do. There's Nadi Shodhana, or alternate nostril breathing. I would probably recommend looking up just on YouTube how to do this. And then Kapalbhati, or the skull shining breath. That I've never even looked up before. So now I'm curious about looking that up. Those help to balance out the seventh chakra. The one thing that I should note too with balancing out any of the chakras, you can literally just sit in meditation and envision an open, spinning, vibrant chakra. Whichever you're looking at opening or balancing out, just envision it, the specific color that it is, and that will help as well. Your mind is absolutely powerful. It colors and informs your energy system strongly. So you can just do that. Other yoga poses that Dr. Chopra notes is the headstand and downward dog. This, of course, helps move, just physically helps move blood flow to the head space. And he says that it helps stimulate that seventh chakra. Okay, so I hope this information is useful for you. We have now completed all 7 chakras. We've all talked about all 7 of them. You now have a bunch of resources here to look through to help balance out your chakra system. And if I do a spirit baby session for you, you can come back to these podcast episodes and note which chakras or work through the practices. When I talk about in a Spirit Baby session, I usually offer insight into what chakras need to be looked at and balanced out. Sometimes I run out of time during a session to do that, so I'll do that after if that's of interest to you. But you can look back at these podcast episodes now and add whatever practices are useful for you to balance out your chakra system. Okay. Until next time, I am so looking forward to moving forward on this podcast with you. I have a great episode coming up next for you next week and in the weeks beyond too. So thinking about you, balance out that chakra system. So much hope, love, joy coming your way. And I'll see you next time. Be well.